because I changed purchases. So, sorry about that. There is. I wonder if we're seeing how we're appearing on the ballot.
I think so.
Sorry about that.
Either that or it's quite the coincidence that we got.
Wow, this is a great turnout.
I've been trying not to listen.
Yeah.
Only because we get in trouble.
We're gonna have fun tonight. It's about having
Testing one.
Is Tyler here?
Don't call me late for this.
I don't see Tyler.
Oh, cell phone on silent. Cell phone on silent.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming out. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, but make sure you get those cards out at the league. I got some major feedback, it sounds like, on my end, Dave. Just an FYI, but just take your seats. Make sure all of our candidates have a glass of water or something to drink. If we do not, it looks like we need to get at least 3, maybe 4 glasses of water, please, if that's possible. Is that in any way possible? Anybody else? Nancy, you don't have one either, right? Yes. A friend was going to bring up. Good evening.
Good evening. It's nice to see you. Yes.
My job, I dealt with White House politics, all over the state.
To have an extra pen. I think so. My goodness.
40 years with the city, I guess we do something to close it out.
Thank you.
If I knew you were going to run it.
I told the mayor, I'm running for mayor. I am too. And I wouldn't want to be mayor.
Maybe they have a
I don't know how it is today, but
So why did the Manitou Spring squirrel not cross the road?
Why did the Manitou Springs School?
Squirrel. Squirrel. Not cross the road.
Why?
Traffic was not safe. That's the joke that Rick told me to tell tonight. Like,
No.
I don't think so. I have another one. I'm going to do something self-deprecating to get this show on the road.
There you go.
I tried.
Well, the good news is it looks like a lot of friendly faces.
Yes, it is a lot of fun. And you knew all those women that I was sitting at that table with.
Well, I knew Annie.
Yeah.
I know Annie, but I forget the name of the woman.
Was that short hair?
Oh, yeah.
And then the one sitting to my left was
Barbie Bunn.
She's really pissed about the URA because she's on Crane and we just screwed them over. Like, no, let's talk about that. We'll talk about
Oh, dear.
I coached high school.
Hi. Hi. I think I did.
Yeah. Hi. So glad you got your RPP on Pawnee. Well, it passed. Passed. It passed first vote. I think we approved that, did we not? The RPP on Pawnee? Does that come back for a second vote, or it's approved. Eventually, yes.
I don't think there's second.
I don't think there's a second reading. I think it just passed.
We approved it
2 weeks ago or something.
No, second reading is only for laws,
for
but
ordinances.
that's not a law.
Right. Yeah, so you got it. Yeah. You did. You be careful.
Still waiting on waters? It's nice to sit next to you again. It's been 4 years.
Dave? We ready? We're good? Awesome. Well, we're going to get started. We are waiting for some waters for a few candidates and myself, so we'll kind of get an interruption as we're kind of going through. So we're going to be flexible this evening because I understand I don't live in Manitou, but I understand it's very casual here. So we're going to be very casual tonight. All right, so thank you so much. Good evening and welcome to the Manitou Springs Municipal Election Candidate Forum, where along with the League of Women Voters, you are here with the Manitou Springs Chamber of Commerce, and also welcoming is the Cliff House. So thank you for hosting. We have gathered candidates for mayor and city council this evening to answer questions from you, the voters. So thank you for being here for the candidates and those of you in attendance. Also, those of you attending virtually as well, shout out to you. So thank you for being here. My name is Shelley Roars. I am the spokesperson of the League of Women Voters of the Pikes Peak Region. I am one of your moderators this evening. So welcome, and we're going to get to it so we can introduce everybody else. Joining alongside me to my left is Denny Weber. He is a League member and assistant professor at University of Colorado School of Medicine. So thank you, Denny, for joining us tonight. And introducing our candidates. And if you don't know this, currently they are in ballot order up in front of you. The first two, are running for mayor, and then all the way down the end of the table are running for city council. And we do have two missing candidates. Thank you so much, ma'am. We do have two missing candidates. One is ill and one is out of town, so we'll get to them. But we are going to introduce Ms. Nancy Fortune for running for mayor. And Mr. Tyler Graff, who is not here and ill this evening, so we wish him the best, is not here, but he is also running for mayor. Mr. John Graham, also running for mayor as well. Running for Manitou Springs City Council. And I'm sorry, you will only vote for one mayor, right? Sorry, I missed my clarification. For city council, you will actually vote for three, no more than three. So let's get some clarification and voter education in tonight. Miss Charlotte Susan Presti, she goes by Susan. It's my legal name, so. Alan Delwich, also running for city council. Mr. Stephen Hart, welcome. Mr. John Shada. Julie Wolf, also running for city council. Judith Chandler. Anthony Mock, goes by Tony, so we'll address that as Tony. And Carrie Storm, also running for city council. Mark Lee. And also running for city council, not here this evening, he had a prior commitment, Mr. Colin McAllister, also running for city council as well. So just a couple of housekeeping items. You guys must be in the know and be engaged citizens. We don't applaud candidates or do anything until the very end. That's kind of out of respect for them. A couple of people that are going to be running your event this evening. You got your timekeeper in the front, Miss Jen Robertson, I apologize for that. So all you candidates, keep your eye on her because she will stop you. Question takers, your league members, Miss Molly Williams out there. She's one of your question takers. So if you have a card, like some of you have already been turning them in, please, we ask you to engage the candidates as well. So you got Molly Williams. I got Joan out there too. I know and Sandra Collins right there. She's one of your question takers. And Terry Weber right here on my right. So those are, again, this is a function of your voter service team from the League of Women Voters. So I am going to give a shout out to them. So thank you so much to voter service for putting everything on. Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Monitoring our YouTube, a shout out to Virtual World, and handling our audio and video needs. You got Dave Gardner with Studio 809 Podcast there in the back. That's going to be one of your housekeeping items. Please make sure you silence your phones. And then also Dan Roars behind your camera. Shout out to my husband. And a huge thank you. Yeah, I know. You can see my bias. I apologize for that. It's supposed to be nonpartisan. So huge thank you to our co-sponsors. Of course, we mentioned the Chamber of Commerce and the Cliff House, but the League also sponsors with co-sponsors and partners with organizations that help us fulfill our mission. That is the Black and Latino Leadership Coalition, Citizens Project, Colorado Latinos Vote, KRCC, Colorado Springs NAACP, Studio 809 Podcasts, and Together Colorado Faith Table. So thank you to our sponsors. And if it would be all right, I have a couple sponsors here tonight that would kind of just like to say, 30 seconds to a minute to kind of introduce us to them and what they're about. So I'm going to bring up Miss Farley McDonough. Did I say that right? Whoop, whoop. She's with the Manitou Springs Chamber of Commerce. So come on up, Farley. Tell us a little bit about the chamber, please.
Well, welcome everybody. This is amazing. What a fantastic turnout. Thank you so much for coming this evening, and thank you to all the candidates. And we do want to recognize the Cliff House and the League of Women Voters and the Chamber of Commerce, of course, for sponsoring this event. It is an absolute honor to have everybody here this evening, and we wish everybody luck, I guess, as we make the rounds. And thank you again, though, to the League of Women Voters for just making this a very smooth and wonderful event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Again, it couldn't do it without sponsors, so thank you to all of those people. And I believe I've also got Mr. Martin Lays, the general manager of the Cliff House. Would you mind coming up and saying just a few words? And we would love to have you. Thank you.
Hi, and thank you all for showing up this evening. It is an honor for us here at the Cliff House to be able to host you. Looking forward to listening to our candidates here this evening, and best of luck to each of you. It's a great community, Manitou Springs, and it's nice to see so many people willing to volunteer their time. I'll be around if you have any particular questions about the Cliff House or anything in our immediate vicinity. I'm here, and I plan to be here a little bit longer this evening, so good luck to you all.
Thank you. Again, thank you to the Cliff House and the Chamber for hosting this evening as well. Do I have any other co-sponsors? I know I tried to check with most of them to see if they were here tonight to give them like a little shout out, but I'm pretty sure we're all good there. So let me tell you about the League if you don't know who we are. We are nonpartisan, number one. That's a great thing about us. We are a nonprofit organization, and we are dedicated to empowering voters and defending democracy. That's our mission. It's pretty simple. We are a membership organization. Everyone here that you see, we are all volunteers, and we are also not just for women. We got some men, right? So shout out to the men. You don't have to just be a woman to be in the League of Women Voters. So again, everybody votes, right? We are membership driven, but if you're a student, you're free. So it doesn't matter if you're a 60-year-old student. If you're a student, I don't care. You're free, right? So please ask us. Sandra, raise your hand again for me. She's in charge of membership. So if you want to join our cool geeky group, I say that lovingly. I do say that lovingly because we all are about empowering those voters. So please ask us if you have questions. Couple things. Like I said, we're nonpartisan, which means we do not support nor endorse candidates, but we do things like this, and we sometimes take a stance on certain issues. One of those I'm going to mention, because it is a school board year, fully funding public education is one of those things that we do believe in as a league. We've researched those things for many, many, many eons, and we don't just take a stance and pull it out of the air, right? So please know that. This event is also available in our podcast, Making Democracy Work. I give more work to Dave, so thank you, Dave. And then you can find links on our website at lwvppr.org. Plus, all of our sponsors usually put this information on there as well. Candidate forums are one of those ways we educate. So please check out any of our sponsors. Vote411.org, right over there on that table. That is the League's portal. All of you candidates, I want you to make sure that there will be an email from the League that says, please complete these questions. And I know you're going to get a lot of surveys. I do know that, right? But please understand that we would really appreciate your participation, because the answers that you see come directly from them, not from the League. We don't pull those from their websites. If they answer it, it came directly from the candidate. So vote411.org, you can go to get answers on candidates. That is available right around the time you're going to get your ballots. Ballots are mailed October 16th this year, right? So please look for that to be live right around that time. Tonight's format. Candidates will get up to 2 minutes each to introduce yourselves. You can use the 2 minutes, it's up to you. We do ask that they stand if you're answering a question or if you are introducing yourself, if the introductions or the closing, whatever. If you wouldn't mind standing, that would be great. You are in ballot order, so we're going to start with Nancy and go down for introductions, and then I understand your format that you were told. I'm going to start first question with Mr. Graham, and then I'm going to keep on. We are going to just alternate, just go down the list. Second question goes to Susan first. so on and so forth down the line. Is that good with the candidates? Okay. You will get 30 seconds to 1 minute each to answer. Moderators will decide based on the question here, like I've got a yes or no. It's going to be a yes or no. Okay. It's not going to be a 30-second. You get yes or no. All right. Ms. Jen will listen for that so she knows exactly how much time. So we're to be sure to make sure we announce how much time they get at the candidate for the questions. Audience members, I already mentioned, please don't shout out during the forum. I know this is a casual environment, but that is one of our rules. And please save your applause to the end. Questions, we already reviewed that. Housekeeping items, silence your phones, and restrooms are straight out and to the right. So if you need to use the restroom. Okay, everybody good? We're all on the same page? Candidates, you ready? Sweet. All right, I'm going to have Denny, since I've been talking forever, he's going to introduce himself. Just tell us a little bit about you. And then if you wouldn't mind starting off your candidates for me.
Not sure you need to know anything about me. I'm a retired infectious disease doctor, do a little part-time teaching, and I'm active in the league. Happy to be here tonight and thank everybody for coming and being involved. We really think this is an important mission, and apparently you do too, so thank you so much. I will remind the candidates that these microphones are best when you speak pretty directly into them. If you get them very far from your face, they kind of fade away. So try to hold it up close to where people can hear you, and then all of your wisdom will be shared by all of us in the room. With that said, why don't we get started? So the first thing will be for your opening statements. We'll start with Nancy. You'll have 2 minutes, and then we'll just work down to John, Susan, and so on down the line. So thank you very much, and take it away.
Is this on? Can you hear me? Okay. Deciding who to vote for mayor will probably be a tough decision for many of you. After all, the city is running fairly well, so why vote for a change? I thought long and hard about that question and came to the conclusion it was time for a change and that I am the best qualified to be the next mayor of Manitou Springs. I've now served as mayor pro tem for 2 mayors. Mayor Ken Jure led us through a crisis of not having a city administrator. We survived, righted our course, and at the end of his term, we hired Denise Howell. Mayor Graham's tenure has been marked by a stabilization of the city, catching up on deferred maintenance, and putting us on a course to build a new library. I think we can all agree that the city is in a better position than it was 6 years ago when I was first elected to council. The stage is now set for the next phase, which I see as shaping the future of our amazing city in a time where change is all around us. We need to have a clear vision and the political will to manage inevitable change and not let outside forces define us. I think there are 4 pillars that define our culture here in Manitou that we all cherish and need to preserve: our artists and creatives, our history and heritage, our springs and health, and our great outdoors. But even more important are the people of our community who form the foundation of these pillars. We are a welcoming and tolerant community. We are engaged and passionate. We are proud of our city, but we know we can be even better. I'm extremely experienced with a strong resume. My Army career spanned 3 decades and was capped with working policy and resourcing at the Department of Defense. When I was transferred to NORAD Northcom, I intentionally chose to live in Manitou Springs because of the culture here. I've been mayor pro tem for 5 of the 6 years I've served on council, and I've been on council liaison to 4 committees. Working together, we need to set the future course of our community that combines what's important to our residents, city council, our boards and commissions, our city staff, and our business community so that we are all headed in the same direction. Each of us should have the opportunity and accept the responsibility to be part of that work so we can make Manitou Springs even stronger and better. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yep. I got to warn you already. They told me coming to Manitou might be difficult. First candidate. We cannot please hold your applause. I would really appreciate it, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good job, Nancy. Good thoughts. My name's John Graham. I'm the current mayor. I'm in my 2nd term now, and I'm seeking a 3rd term. I grew up here. Was born here. Lived here most of my life. I love the place. I believe very strongly that it's time. This is a time in Manitou's history when we're at a critical moment here. We've come through a lot of challenges. Last several years we've had COVID. That was daunting. It was daunting for everybody. When Colorado Springs decided they were going to vote on recreational marijuana, that really put a chill in City Council's thinking. We held back on some of our projects. Sigh of relief when they voted it down. But in the meantime, we've been cautious with money. We've squirreled away a lot of money. We've got plans. We've been able to do some things. We've made commitments to things like the library, to our water treatment plants, plant in the distribution system. We've got a lot more to do. I think we really, we're posed for some opportunity to get some things done, some important things. The twist on that is I think we're also in danger if someday the marijuana revenue is going to go away, so we better adapt and make the most of it. I think we really want to be forward-looking. That's what council needs to do now in my mind. We've come through a time, we've got a city council a city staff that does a good job of running things day to day. I think the operational concerns largely fall on their backs, and the mission of council should be to look forward. And I mean really look forward. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Today's not bad, tomorrow's a good day too. We should really focus on trying to make the most of what we've got. We have some real opportunities because we've got a little money in the bank, but we cannot luxuriate in our situation. I think we want to push forward. We really want to think forward. I think it's important that we act as a team, that we can really get some things done. So going forward, it would be great to have a good, strong team that can push forward and do some good things. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. I'm Susan Presti. For those of you who don't know me, I am actually a 29-year resident of Manitou Springs, but my family roots go back multiple generations in this community. I'm retired right now, but the 20 years of my last working life I spent as the Community Relations Manager for Colorado Springs Utilities. Right now I'm serving on the Historic Preservation Commission, and I'm really enjoying that. I am running because really I want you, the voters. I think you should have a choice. Last time around there weren't a lot of choices. This time around you've got great choices for candidates, and I wanted to be part of that. My agenda is not specific. I don't really have a strong agenda to run on. I am focused primarily on infrastructure. I think it's really important we have a resilient and reliable infrastructure. It takes a lot of commitment to investing in that long term, a lot of planning, and I would, if I was elected, I would make sure that I would support all of our investment in our water, upgrading our water system, making our wastewater and stormwater reliable, and of course, upgrading and maintaining our roads. The infrastructure is a core responsibility of government, and it benefits everybody in the community. And that's what I'm about, is making sure that I consider both the quality of life of our residents as well as the success of our business owners. Thank you.
Feel free to share both.
I just don't want to knock over that glass. I'm Alan Delwich, and I'll just start by saying the second best decision I made in my life was moving to Colorado, to Manitou Springs in the early 80s. I haven't regretted it for a day. In the 90s, I decided I really needed to get involved and give back to the community. And over the years, I've spent time on many boards and commissions. Bulk of it in the Planning Commission, but I've also participated on the Housing Authority Board, the Urban Renewal Authority, and numerous work groups, commission, plans, and initiatives. And you know, I think this engagement has really given me an insight into the community. My goal for council would be to keep forward with the momentum we have. We're upgrading our aging infrastructure. We're rehabilitating and restoring facilities such as the pool, the library, Hiawatha Gardens, and we need to keep moving forward that way. So that's where I am. I also think that we have to keep dealing with the perennial problem of traffic and congestion, and I'll support any initiative that gets people out of their cars and looking at alternate forms of transportation. I think that's critical to making a more harmonious community, to get rid of those cars as much as we can. And finally, I think everything we do, we have to be mindful of climate change and how it affects everything that's going on around us. Thank you.
If you excuse me for not standing up, I have a hard time. I lost my balance, had to call out search and rescue to try to find it. Haven't found it yet, but we're working on it. But I'm running simply because I've spent 40 years in some capacity in this community as a city council member, as working for the water department, working for the police department. Spent almost 28 years as fire chief, and I'm retired from the Colorado State Forest Service, which is a division of Colorado State University. I spent my time working with the politics, White House politics, in all 50 states, the governors and all their echelon. And I was the national commander for incident management and dealt with such things as Valdez oil spill, Yellowstone fires, the Twin Towers, the shuttle that blew up over Texas. Had managed that, and my camps were anywhere from 200 people to 5,000. And when you have a 5,000 camp, it's like being in the city of Manitou. You got robberies, you got fights, you got murders, you got traffic incidents, all that kind of stuff just within the fire camp or the incident management camp. I also spent 4 years implementing the National Incident Management System, and some of you on the council are probably aware of that. And that took 4 years, and another person from the state of Florida helped me do that, and we spent 4 years getting it done. It was all for federal, state, and local governments. And let me tell you, it took a lot of time and patience to deal with some of the agencies. I'm running for council because I want to contribute again. I think that businesses need to be supported. I think through the chamber, through whatever mechanism we have, for that went by pretty quick. And it's just that I want to look on infrastructure, which is important. We've all said that. Our water system and elections are for about the future. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Oh, I see.
My chair is like.
You've got the step behind.
Good evening. I'm John Shada, and thank you all for coming out tonight. When I moved to Manitou Springs in 1979, my commitment started fairly early because, as you know, back in that era, we were faced with the prospect of a big mine in Waldo Canyon. And I was one of the volunteers that sat up there and sat at my little card table getting people to write letters to the county commissioners. Ultimately, we fought that thing off, and I think that's something that we, as a legacy that was important. When in the 1990s, we were faced with gambling with Manitou Springs, and I'm so tickled to be up here with all these people, and I remember Kathy Verlo. I'm sure some of you remember. And Kathy and I wore out one set of tires speaking around the state because, as it turns out, thank you very much, our destiny was determined by the state voters. And so we had to go around and talk to everybody and say, we don't want gambling in Manitou. I agree with Mayor Graham that we are really at a pivotal moment here, that I think we need experience on council. I don't think that you can actually go wrong with anybody who's up here, and I would enjoy your vote. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Julie Wolf, and thank you all for coming. I moved here 38 years ago. I live near the post office. I moved here originally just to come for a short term for an internship, and I fell in love with Manitou and decided to make this my home. I grew up in the Boston area, and I went to law school in Boston, so when I finished, I moved here in 1985. Since then, I have been active in Manitou politics indirectly and involved directly with the city. I worked with John 35 years ago on the Waldo Canyon effort to try and prevent additional mining up there. I worked on the gambling initiative to try and prevent gambling from being legalized in Manitou, so I'm really glad we succeeded in that. And then I was on the Planning Commission for 10 years. And that really opened my eyes to the complexity of our zoning laws, our land use code. And after 10 years in that position, I thought I really wanted to be on city council to be able to make decisions about things other than just planning. So I'm running for re-election. I've been a city council person as an at-large person representing the entire city for the last 4 years, and I would appreciate your vote. I do think it's very important that we try to continue the momentum because we've made incredible progress the last 4 years. This group, we don't agree on everything, but we've made so much progress, and we have a lot of things that are in the works. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to complete and see some of those projects through to completion. Thank you.
Hello, is this fine? Hello and good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight to listen to us. Before I talk about the future, I want to hit reverse for a second and go back exactly 4 years to right at this time when I decided to run for city council, and I ran unopposed, and I won. So tonight, I'm just thrilled that I'm sitting at a dais full of committed community members that want to volunteer their time and step up to the plate and serve. And so my job tonight is to give you a compelling reason to re-elect me for another 4 years. I hope this evening I'll get a chance to talk about my record, my voting record, my community service, and my plans and goals for the future, but I don't know that you know really a lot about me. My father, in 1969, he was in the Army, and after 3 years in Taiwan, they decided that Colorado Springs would be a great place to send us. And I first saw Manitou in 1970, and I said, I will live here someday. Most of my career has been just on the west side, but I did realize that dream in, it's 2017, when I retired from running my own personal wellness clinic and primary care clinic in Colorado Springs. So my husband and I had a rental property here, and we said, you know, we have a daughter and we have a granddaughter here in Manitou. Let's move back and make it 3 generations of people in this town. And so I did that. I opened a massage therapy business in 2018. Unfortunately, COVID closed me down. And I've been volunteering and doing community service since then, including being your at-large city council member. And I would love to serve you for another 4 years and continue the great work we've done. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anthony Mock. I moved to Manitou about 10 years ago from with my wife and family from San Francisco, where I was a broadcast engineer for quite a while. We opened Theo's Toys and Games and straight away got involved with the community. We support local organizations and programs with donations year-round. My wife's on the Housing Advisory Board. I sit on the board for the Chamber of Commerce. My son's in the middle school now, crazy. So pretty invested in the future of Manitou. And I would, I wanted to succeed as a whole. And I would use that as a guide for being a council member. I would make decisions, informed decisions, that benefit Manitou as a whole. Thanks.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Carrie Storm, and I am running for one of the at-large seats for City Council. For some background, we just moved here to Manitou Springs in 2016. Since then, I've been involved in the community in a variety of ways. I'm currently involved in the following organizations and commissions. I've served on the board of directors for the Manitou Springs Heritage Center and Museum, and I'm currently board president. I serve on the Planning Commission with a number of people and have served with a number of people up here. And I also serve on the board of Colorado Selective Service Organization. I am the mother of 2 sons, one who is an active duty Air Force captain and a graduate of the Air Force Academy, and the second who is a Marine Corps veteran, actually attending CU Boulder on his GI Bill. He's the 4th generation of our family attending CU Boulder. We've had people there since 1914. For my last role in the real world, I was an executive at Qualcomm. I was in charge of global emergency management, business continuity, real estate construction, and environmental health and safety. I'm running for city council because I enjoy being involved in the community and having the opportunity to either lend a hand with some expertise or learn new things. One of the fun things several of us up here did was attend the community, what was it called? The Community Citizens Academy. And it was so interesting and so fun to get really in depth and learn about each department in the city. I enjoy finding solutions for challenging issues and helping to find a middle ground where appropriate. And I think that this election season is bringing a great number of qualified candidates. And I'm happy to be one of them. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Mark Lee, and I'm honored to be here today as a fellow resident committed to the well-being of Manitou Springs. I've been fortunate to be a resident here for 8 years and to be part of the Manitou community for much longer than that. My wife and I chose Manitou to have our child attend school from kindergarten all the way through their high school graduation next spring. We chose Manitou to start a business and to learn firsthand the challenges and the joys of running a shop in our vibrant downtown. I've served on the board of the Manitou Arts Center for the past 7 years, first as treasurer and eventually as board president before passing the torch last month. I've seen many sides of Manitou. I've busked on our sidewalks, I've played music in our venues, I've drummed in our parks, I've raced a coffin through our streets, raced up Bar Trail, and have marched in many, many parades. I've worked at Colorado College for the past 17 years. I'm a technologist and a problem solver by trade, a visual artist by passion, and a committed advocate for community inclusion and for informed participatory democracy. Let me be clear though, serving on city council is not about me, it's about you all and our collective future. If elected, I will listen to your concerns, I will study the facts, and I will make decisions that prioritize the greater good for all residents. I want to thank everyone who's taken the time to be here both in person and remotely for participating in this essential democratic process. Thank you to the organizers, to the staff here at the Cliff House, to my fellow candidates. I know that each and every person up here and on the ballot this year cares deeply about Manitou, and the fact that you all will have so many choices this election is a testament to the strength of our community. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We'll now progress to the questions. I want to remind the audience to please write them on your index card and turn them to our question gatherers if you have any. They'll forward them to us. Our first question tonight will be going to John as we work down the table. And that question is, what do you believe are the top 2 issues facing our business community? You'll have 1 minute to answer that question.
The business community.
And please stand.
Oh, yes, thanks. Sorry. Yeah. You know, I think there's a number of things that challenge the business community. It's competitive time. We compete for, our business compete mainly for dollars that are soft dollars. If there's a downturn in the economy, people cut back on vacations, they cut back on tourism, and we've seen that they're cutting back on marijuana as other states legalize marijuana. I think we want to be vibrant. I think we want to think about building on our strengths. I'd like to see some revitalization, definitely in the West End. I think downtown, it looks pretty good, but it needs to be, I think, dressed up a little bit. It doesn't hurt to do some maintenance. I think we could be more aggressive in our marketing. If you go to any European country, it's pretty easy to get around, at least if you speak English. I sometimes wonder what it'd be like if all I could speak was French, getting around in Manitou. I think there's some markets that we're missing. Thank you very much.
Same question? Yes. I think our businesses have a number of challenges, but certainly the condensed time frame that they have to make their major income for the year is a challenge. We are trying to make a whole year's worth of income in about 6 months or less if you count Christmas holidays. So how can we help them increase their traffic and maximize their potential in that time period? Also, I suspect they would say that congestion is one of their challenges. That's really an ancillary to the other questions. So that will be a challenge for us going forward that we really need to address. And I think we need some creative thinking about how to make our businesses more accessible for our visitors, not just parking. It's much bigger than that. Thank you.
I think clearly congestion and mobility are challenges. Getting people around, right now we're playing a game of trying to push people out of parking places so that we can get new customers. I think somehow we have to figure that out so people can come and just stay and enjoy the day. I think another challenge is just having flexibility in some of our regulations. I think we've started moving that direction by lightening up on requirements for when people have an idea, they want to test it out. Instead of having to go through a massive, tedious 3-step process, they can get a temporary use permit and get going on it. And I think this is a type of stuff we need to do.
I think deregulation of some things is important for businesses. We shouldn't regulate them out of business or can't make adjustments to their business to continue to stay in business. And it's important that we, as a city, look at those things and deregulation of some of the funds, some of the fees. I think they're exorbitant, maybe not, but at least I think so. If I was a businessman, I'd have a hard time with some of the fees. But I think transportation, parking certainly is an issue. And I think marketing. Our chamber is a good place to start. We need to support that as a city. And businesses help the taxpayer, the property owner. The more the business makes, the more taxes. We keep our property taxes low, and that's important. And cut the bureaucracy.
If you're wondering what we're doing up here, the wind is blowing through the doorway here and it's pushing our papers off.
I think they got it under control. The two things, and back when I was on council, it seems like the answer to the first question, the solutions are rather hard, which is to figure out how we can smooth out our shoulder seasons. Jean Garrity lives just a house next door here, and she talks about how Manitou has seasons. And it's really hard for us in the summer to be overwhelmed with the number of people who are coming to town. And I think we need to work really hard to figure out how we build out our shoulder seasons for our business community. The second thing, I think, is for us to tackle this parking problem. I really believe that we need to encourage an experience where people here come to town, park once, recreate, shop, enjoy eating, rest, and what's that little red flower mean? Oh, so sorry. Thank you. I think I've been cut off. Thank you.
Well, I think one thing I've heard from the business community, I've been going up and down Manitou Ave in the downtown area. A lot of people say that it's very difficult getting parking for their employees, even if they pay all this money for a spot in one of the local lots. It's very possible that the lot will be full and that their employee has no place to park and has to drive around and around, maybe be late for work, create more traffic congestion. So I believe that we can come up with some parking solutions where we have guaranteed spots or other ways to increase parking for the business employees as well as their customers, and that involves having an outside lot. I think we need to get a parking lot that's not right in the downtown area so that people can park there and take a electric shuttle bus in and not have so many cars right in the downtown area. That way I think it'll be easier for the customers as well to enjoy. Oh, there's the red rose. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. You know, I'm going to use the three-legged stool analogy, and when I think about the business community, and I think about this stool being Manitou, and I think about the three legs keeping it up, and one of those legs is a business community, and the other are the residents, the citizens that live here, and the third is the city, this constraints and work of the city. And when one suffers, they kind of all suffer. The stool can't stay up. So it's an interconnected web, and we have to support all of those three legs. And one of the main thing is moving people around. We've already heard about traffic and congestion. The last three community surveys have said this is the biggest problem. We have purchased 2 e-buses that we're going to be piloting, and we just passed an e-bike voucher program. So my goal for the business community is to extend those seasons by getting more and more people here in different ways to move around our town and get feet in stores and feet in restaurants and people spending time here. And I've just been cut off, but thank you.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really good suggestions. Parking, is this on? The parking is always an issue in Manitou. It's going to always be an issue. If you create more spots, people are just going to use them to capacity. So we can do studies. We can look at what other towns have done who face the same issues. The bus, the bikes, those are all, any one little thing is going to help. But communication would be another really good thing to attack. Like, how do we communicate to our visitors where to park? What alternates are? Where can they park and ride a bus in? Where can they get a bike to ride in? Where can they what lodging has public transportation next to them? So communication with our visitors would be a huge thing for the business community.
Thank you. One of the things I think it would be interesting to try to pursue, this came up in a discussion we had in the Planning Commission, was talking about vacant storefronts and what we can do to maybe get more businesses in to fill the vacant storefronts, to revitalize some of the areas where, you know, it's kind of empty. I'll wait for that door. And if we could come up with a way to incentivize property owners in some way with a tax discount or some sort of discount to get these vacant stores filled and get people into those storefronts, I think that would help revitalize areas where we've got dead space. Like, think about all those stores along Ruxton. If we could do something there, that would be great.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. I actually love the idea of doing sort of like an incubator, or some way for new businesses to get their foot in the door. It can be really challenging if you're a small business owner to pay the rents initially until you start building up that user base. I also think that parking and mobility are obviously a huge issue here. Something that I would propose is to look at parking throughout the seasons. I think that we've done a decent job with making changes and modifications to the parking system over the last couple of years. But I think like when parking is not at a premium, maybe we can have free parking in those seasons. Maybe we don't need to charge people for parking in the middle of February. Thank you.
Yeah. When you think about it, the city and the businesses have a very symbiotic relationship. We are totally dependent upon one another for the future of our city. And I think that the employees are the face of Manitou to the people who come here to Manitou as tourists and to enjoy our wonderful city. So how do we attract good employees and maintain good employees? And that's what I've heard from businesses, is that's very, very difficult to do. One of the reasons you've heard a lot here, and I totally agree, is employee parking. Until we get good employee parking, that is a deterrent to hiring good employees and maintaining good employees. So that's one of the major things. And I also think, also was mentioned, was regulation, and we need to work closely. The city needs to work very closely with the business community to ensure we're not regulating and making it so difficult for businesses to operate. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. So we're going to go to your next question. First to answer will be Susan on this one. I'm sorry, I was supposed to stand up. I apologize, Dave. Excuse me. Okay, so your city recently published the results of the community survey. In it, one question made clear the divide between tourist and resident, that awful tourist coming into town, right? How will you bridge that divide? And I'm going to be one of those people that only gives you 30 seconds. I'm that type of person. My OCD needs a quick answer. So you get 30 seconds to answer. How will you bridge the divide between tourist and resident?
I would say probably the easiest way to bridge that divide is going to be reduce the congestion. Find a system to get our tourists to where they want to be without driving around and without parking all over town. And that will ease things for everybody, our residents, parking, and for our businesses, having our tourists come in and out more easily, and better for the tourists too if they're not having to drive around parking.
Yeah, I'll second that. Traffic and parking seems to be the issue. If you look in detail at that survey, the neighborhoods that have the least comfortable with tourism are, this is not a good mic up. Anyway, they were the ones that lived right in the thick of it. Those of us who live on the east end were much less upset with that. So I think definitely congestion.
Again, I'm going to talk about tourism. That is the name of this community. It has always been. And I think that the comments I've heard about some of the residents, I say some, quote unquote, is that we can't get to the bar, we can't get to our parking spot. That doesn't hold water for me. Tourism is the name of this community, and that's where we need to be.
I have this theme in my brochure, which is to park once, okay, and then transit around the community. And I think that's really our key to our success. And I'm really committed to us figuring out how to partner with our business community, the COG, the Incline, these destination things, to get those visitors to park in one location, and then we provide excellent transportation to get you around town. Thank you.
I'm sorry, can I have this on real quick? Just a reminder, please keep your comments to yourself. If you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it. If I can hear you, others around you can hear. Thank you.
I would bridge the gap by trying to increase the amount of participation that our residents are allowed to provide and our businesses are allowed to provide to the City Council. for the last 4 years, there are some really important decisions that have been made, and there's hardly anyone in the audience giving us feedback on what they think we should do. And then when there are community engagement meetings, a lot of residents feel that their thoughts and their desires are not heard because they're just lectured to. So what I would do would make community involvement, increase the participation of the residents and the businesses to express themselves before important decisions are made.
I'm going to take a little bit of a Pollyanna approach and say I really think that we have more in common than we have differences between the business and the residents. I think we all ultimately want the same thing, and I'm going to quote the chamber. There's a saying that says, we're working on more ways to keep our town vibrant, sustainable, and just weird enough for current and future generations. I think we all want that. We want to live in a unique town. We know we live in a tourist town. We live here and we accept that, and I think each neighborhood has its own unique challenges and problems. It is about parking, it is about all of that, but it's all about finishing projects we started. Finish the Carnegie Library, fix the roads. Everybody benefits when we start a project and we finish it, and we're on the cusp of finishing so many projects, and I look forward to seeing that happen for the residents and the business community. Thank you.
I don't think the residents have that much of a problem with tourism. It's probably a very small number of the residents. And if they knew what we get from tourism, they'd probably have even less of a problem with it. Getting residents involved with city decisions is a great idea. We could partner with the bulletin and put the agenda, coming issues, and dates in it so that they could show up at these meetings.
I've heard a lot about the charging residents for parking. And even though we do get the 50 hours free a year, I would like to see us figure out how to give residents free parking, period, but still balance the concerns that the parking department has with cars being parked in the middle of downtown in the business district and just left. So there has to be a way where we could allow free parking for residents, but not impinge on the traffic and the turnover on the cars.
Yeah, I definitely see parking as a big root cause of this friction. I think there are many things that I love about living in Manitou, and a lot of those have to do with the business community. The fact that I can live in a town with shops, with restaurants, with art galleries, all of these places that the tourists love to go. I love to go as well. At the same time, if you're a resident here and you leave your house and you can't come back and park, that's an issue. Thank you.
This is just a question, are we allowed to respond?
Yeah, so the difference between a forum and a debate is you respond in a debate. So the candidate agreement that all of the candidates that they signed and agreed to our rules, it did mention that you could respond. And we, in a forum atmosphere, which is what this is, we usually do not allow responses from other candidates. So if if you want to make a response after this, we would welcome you to especially approach some of these voters because they are all voters. But thank you for the question. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thank you. The community survey was a start. It was the beginning, and it did show that there was a divide between the tourists and the residents. However, the quality of life questions all came back as well over 85% satisfied. So again, it was just a beginning. So until I know what it is specifically from the residents that they're particularly dissatisfied with, I know that as a counselor, everything I do is for the residents. And I'm pro-Manitou. I'm not pro-business. I'm not pro-tourist, et cetera. Pro-Manitou. So thank you.
Thank you. I think it's about a month ago, my wife and I were in one of the local restaurants, and a waitress who knows us pretty well, waits on us once a week typically. She says, "What are you doing in here?" And things were just going crazy. It was nuts. It took us like 2 hours to get served and so forth. They were very, very busy. And she says, you know better than to come down here. You're a resident. So the transportation is a big deal. Time is short. I think transportation is probably our biggest key, but I get it. It's a challenge.
Thank you. This first will be answered by Alan, and I'm going to combine a couple of questions here. We have an awful lot of engagement and questions, which is excellent. I'm going to ask this to be 30 seconds also, recognizing that that's not nearly enough time for you to say everything you'd like to say, but we're going to try to get everybody's questions represented. So this question is, Manitou still relies heavily on marijuana tax revenue. What specifically will you do to diversify the city's tax base to ensure sustainable revenues? And a subheading of that is, what will you do to encourage economic development in general in Manitou?
Yes, I know, and okay. We've had this debate since I've lived in Manitou. How do we spread things out? Get rid of the shoulder, make a year-long reason for people to come to Manitou. I think that we just have to be creative, come up with ideas. Certainly we're talking about developing the East End. We're talking about developing the West End. We need to put energy there. Time's up.
That was quick. Would you repeat the question again, please?
Sure. Manitou still relies heavily on marijuana tax revenue. What will you do to diversify the city's tax base and ensure sustainable revenues? And how would you encourage economic development in general in Manitou?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I would think that trying to make the business sector sustainable, year-round businesses, we need that as much as anything. We don't want to become a bedroom community, which we kind of are, to make sure that we have a sustainable business area and use those funds to help market and develop those businesses.
Sometimes these things come from surprising areas. Probably one thing that most people don't realize, one of the city's fastest growing areas in terms of sales tax is actually out-of-city sales tax, which is every time you order something on Amazon. That's one of our fastest growing areas. I think the second thing that I would encourage is a lot more local businesses that focus on our residents. And I know that's a hard perennial thing. We always talk about that, but I think it would be a goal for us to have a few more local services. Thank you.
Well, one thing that we've already started that was discussed in the City Council months ago was to try and put some of our events into areas, times of year other than summer. So like the marathon that we just had, normally that would be in the summer, but now it was here in September, and it gives us more opportunity to have a lot of people in town to support the businesses. I also think that we can better support our businesses if we give them a place for their employees to park. It's very difficult to run a business when you don't know where the heck your employee is going to park or how long it'll take them to find a parking spot. So I think, oh, there's the Rose. I'm done. Sorry.
Thank you. What everyone else said, plus what this council has already done in anticipation of the marijuana sales tax decreasing over time or going away in the future, is we voted to maximize what I believe it's 10% now that we charge the local marijuana. So we are maximizing that. The biggest problem I had running a business here was rent and parking. And we need to have businesses incentivize new business and also incentivize our current business. We have to have rents that our businesses can afford, parking for our employees and our visitors, and incentivizing new businesses to come into town. Thank you.
Hey, for the Manitou sales tax, use it for one-time cost projects. Maybe bank the rest for improving the economic development, make downtown look nicer, have more events in town, listen to the Chamber of Commerce.
I'll go back to my idea on trying to figure out how to fill the vacant businesses and the vacant buildings all along Ruxton, all the way down, to the East End down there. There's plenty of empty storefronts, and if we could figure out how to incentivize the business owners to get businesses in there, and we increase our tax revenue, it would be a win-win, I think.
Yeah, I think we're really dependent on out-of-state tourism, and I really love the idea of having businesses that are, or encouraging businesses that are more focused on services that locals may want. It would be amazing if we could have a small grocery store in town. I also think that we could look at the visitors that visit the COG and the Incline and see how we could maybe entice some of them to stay around in town rather than just leaving immediately. Thank you.
Is it not working? Sorry. Oh, here we go. The URA already has tools to encourage economic development. So I would really like to see us support the URA as best we can to continue the work that they've been doing. Secondly, that we're about to enter into contract for a downtown development authority, and I'm very intrigued by the results that come out of that and implementing whatever the recommendations are. Thank you.
Thank you. The URA has some merit there, but the problem is that the URA is very localized. It's basically from the bypass east, and it's along Manitou Avenue. If it was stretched out to where it would help the rest of Manitou's commercial district, that'd be, I think, a big boon. I like the idea of doing that. I don't think the URA board has had much appetite for doing that.
The reality is, City Council has certain tools at their disposal to affect economic development, but that is limited. So encouraging more businesses and a diverse business, we cannot change the economics of business in the city and the state. However, maximizing the potential for the URA and looking at creative ways to encourage through fee management is probably the best things we can do to entice new businesses, and working with the chamber.
All right, thank you, candidates. Oh, yes, thank you. All right, on this next one, Steve, I believe you are first to answer, sir. So we are going to give you a minute on this one. And I've combined two, so if you turned in a question regarding sustainability, we've kind of put them into one question. What will you do to make Manitou a leader in sustainability, not just eco-sustainable? So, and then reduce our carbon water impact. I'm going to give you 1 minute on that one. So again, what will you do to make Manitou a leader in sustainability, not just eco-sustainable, and reduce our carbon water impact? 1 minute, please.
That's a good question. And I'm not sure I have it.
You're hot.
Now, can you hear me? I'm not sure about what that answer will be. Sustainability is basically just keeping our infrastructure in place, and the leader is to show new ways to do business, new ways to do our infrastructure, new ways to handle our economic situation. And I think it was a hard question to answer in just a minute, but I think there's a lot of opportunities for everybody to work together and to develop that, and working with the chamber would be great. I think they have a lot of resources for the city to make that happen, and to be friendly to all people who use our city facilities.
I think one of the most underutilized things for us to get under control from the standpoint of our carbon footprint is for us to utilize the green energy program from Colorado Springs Utilities. I know that's sort of been stuck for the last few months, but previously, before, you could kind of calibrate how many kilowatts or what percentage you're purchasing from CSU that is green energy. I think we ought to have a goal in our community where we get, and we measure this, where we get up to maybe 100% green energy from CSU. And I think that goes in line with electrification of all our heating and those kind of needs. Thank you very much. 15 seconds.
City Council's been doing some good things on sustainability lately, and so I would like to see that continue. We recently decided to purchase 2 electric shuttles, or trams they're called, to try and reduce the number of gas-powered buses we have that are very noisy and smelly, especially for those people in the Ruxton corridor. And the brakes make so much noise at 5 in the morning when they're taking people up the hill. So I want to see us continue to move more toward getting electric vehicles in the city. I'd like us to continue to reduce or eliminate the pesticides. We have a resolution to not use pesticides on the city parks to try and protect our groundwater. And I'd also like to see us perhaps incentivize some type of plan where solar energy, we have so much strong sun, where solar is used in some of the properties. Thank you. Time's up.
I'd like to echo that this council has done a tremendous amount of work, and I am personally, if anybody of you know me, I am more passionate about climate change and sustainability and the fact that we live in a wildland-urban interface, and climate change is going to bring more and more volatile weather. We're more at risk for wildfire danger and floods and the like. We need to look at our land use development code, which we passed. It has a lot of information about how we can move to more to a green built environment. I would love to see this town invest in a vintage-looking e-trolley. I think it would be a tourist attraction for the businesses. They have them in Estes Park. They are not inexpensive, but I think that would help. Go electric, plant trees. I am planning, if I am reelected, to bring an ordinance to ban neonicotinoids and other pesticides and herbicides citywide, because we are now the first pollinator district in the world, and we need to protect our pollinators. Thank you.
Yeah, expanding solar and EV usage is really important. And we have a lot of good programs that are doing that right now, but I would be cautious about enforcing restrictions on businesses that might be competing with businesses in Colorado Springs that are not under those restrictions. So we should partner with Colorado Springs at least, or so we're on the same page, so that restaurants right across the street don't have to get different packaging.
So one of the things we learned in our Citizenship Academy was that one of our largest energy suckers is the pool and spa complex and the gym. And during that conversation, there was discussion on why we can't put solar panels on top of the gym, but it's because we've got all that tree canopy. So I would like to see us put in the canopies that you can put in a parking lot, because that parking lot, we have the ability to put canopies that we can put solar on, and we could probably power that entire complex with the solar from those canopies. Plus it protects the cars when you're there at the gym. You come out, your car's not hot, so it'd kind of be a win-win.
These are all awesome ideas, and I also really appreciate the EV charging station that recently went down at the pool complex. I think that we need more of that. Talking outside of eco-sustainability, I think right now, while we do have the boon of the marijuana tax, we need to be investing in infrastructure. I know that we're doing that. For example, water projects, the new water storage tank that's going to be built. I've been attending city council meetings recently and saw an amazing proposal on upgrades to the water treatment facility that can really help extend the life of that facility. And I think that looking at our infrastructure and investing in that right now is very important.
We can do a master's thesis on that, so 1 minute is hard. In terms of the eco sustainability, I had started talking with a solar provider to see if we get some good deals for the city or multiple residents to invest in solar at their homes to get breaks on the cost for that. So I'd like to continue with that. I've also done a lot with micromobility and would like to continue and do even more with that, particularly with infrastructure. In terms of economic sustainability, we've already discussed a lot of that, but I would look at the Land Use Development Code in the context of sustainability in general, economic sustainability, and a little thing, but the Historic Preservation Commission has some restrictions, so we can't put solar on top of our historic buildings. So I think we need to look at regulations again. And governance is another sustainability, and I think inclusion, inclusion of our community in decision making and getting to our decisions that we make are very important. Thank you.
Yeah, a minute isn't a whole lot of time to talk about a complex subject. I'd like to kick off with the environmental twist on this. The city is conducting an audit on our buildings to see where we can save energy in the future. But if you go beyond that, there are things, and one of the things that drives me crazy is water. Okay, we know how much water we treat and leaves the water filtration plant. We know how much water we bill for. There's a 30% difference. We're losing a lot of water. We need to go fix pipes. To me, it makes sense financially and environmentally to find those leaks, fix them, and take care of that. I think also the city ought to be the leader in inspiring residents in doing some environmentally sensitive things. We try to conserve water. We try to encourage you to get low-flow toilets and sprinkler heads and so forth. I'd like to see the city begin moving towards some electric vehicles. Anywhere in Manitou for a public works truck is a 3-mile drive. You can recharge and not worry about that. That'd, I think, set a tone that'd be useful. Thank you.
When it comes to sustainability, I'll go back to my first statement. It's all about the infrastructure. I think we have a lot of opportunity there, resilience of our water systems, our wastewater, our stormwater. That is really sustainability in a nutshell. For carbon reduction, I think we have an opportunity to really partner with Colorado Springs Utilities. They're moving in that direction. We should encourage them to create some creative programs to help us move toward electrification, replacement of natural gas appliances, and improve our EV charging. I think they're a potential partner to really look at trying to move that forward.
Yeah, going last on this is really awesome. I agree with everything I've heard so far. Reducing our carbon footprint is essential. I really like Carrie's idea of the canopies over the parking lots. If you ever go up to the Rocky Mountain Arsenal open space, they have a great demonstration of that. They power everything just from the sun there. And we have lots of spaces where that would be an opportunity, both at the pool and also Hiawatha Gardens. When we start building that out, there'd be possibilities for that. And incentivizing residents to get rid of gas would be another thing. You know, maybe we can do the zoning code to make it more attractive. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I'm going to do 2 yes/no answers now, recognizing that those don't get the whole story told, and then a third question, which is also brief. And for each of these, we're going to start with John. So the first one is, if elected or re-elected, would you support expanded outdoor dining options in the public right-of-way, assuming that ADA access would be preserved? So each candidate, please answer yes or no to that question, starting with John.
So there are 2 questions?
That's one.
That's one. All right. Yes.
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 Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
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 No.
No.
Yes.
No.
Thank you. The second question, also yes, no, and again, we're starting with John. Do you support a digital sign for the chamber?
No.
Well, it's currently against the law in Manitou. What I'd like to do is hear. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's yes or no? No, it's illegal.
No, it's illegal.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And this one is just name your favorite community event in Manitou. And John, once again, start us off, please.
Bar none, I would say it is Julia running Commonweal.
Oh, the Commonwealth Fair. Is this working?
I'm sorry. I might turn.
For me, it's the Mardi Gras parade. What do they call that?
Mardi Gras parade.
Yeah. Thank you. Carnival, because I'm an African drummer and I love drumming in the parade.
Just name it for us, if you don't mind, so it gives everybody fair.
Pardon?
Just name the name, event, whatever event
Oh.
it is. Just name the name.
Okay, I did. Sorry.
That's okay. Jude?
Okay. The Emma Crawford coffin races, I have to go with that.
Coffin races.
The Manitou Heritage Brew Fest.
Manitou Springs Drum Circle.
Carnival.
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Mumbo Gumbo Cook-Off.
Pikes Peak Marathon.
There's a lot of them. I think the marathon.
Awesome. Very good. Thank you. I know those were kind of quick and easy, but okay. All right. Our first question, and I believe, depending upon, according to our time, I've got 1 minute maybe for each of you, depending upon how long we go on this. But looking to the future is your first. This next question, and Julie, I believe you're first to answer. What accomplishments would you like to see come to fruition in the next year if elected? 1 minute.
Purchase electric buses and shuttles for the town, and improve the roads for infrastructure and undergrounding utilities. And we can do all of that without raising taxes with the budget that we have. And I welcome you all to come on the 14th of October to our budget day.
I made a list of my goals for the next 4 years, and I'm happy to hand that out to anybody that wants it after the event. But to me, it's sustainability and business driven. It is more electric vehicles, more electric buses. I'd like to see the bus service be free to all our residents. I'd like to see us purchase the smaller buses for each neighborhood and have year-round transportation. The e-bike voucher program, which I co-authored with a resident, that will get off the ground. It's important that we look to the future in updating Plan Manitou. We have to address the impacts of climate change and sustainability. I want to see a shovel in the ground on the library. I want to see the police department get their remodel. I want to see Hiawatha Gardens move forward. I also want to Creek Walk Phase 4 or 5, the next phase, and see that pool and fitness center improvements. Those are just some that are on my list. Thank you.
High-speed internet, Manitou Run, more mass transit, and more sustainability, but definitely the high-speed internet.
I'd like to see the full undergrounding of utilities in my lifetime. And I'd also like to see us to have a better plan for wildfire mitigation, and to see both the city and the citizens taking it really seriously and preparing. I'm so concerned about wildfire as an emergency thing in our city.
In the next year, I would really like to see the Citizens Academy continue that the city started this year, and just generally making being an informed and involved resident much easier. I think our city has done a decent job with transparency and communication and has made great strides in the last couple of years with that. But you know, you can put a city council packet on the website, but when it's 1,100 pages, that's not really transparency. So yeah.
Oh, that's a hard. Certainly finish that. The Hiawatha Gardens, get our trams piloted, the electric trams piloted and evaluated so that we could expand that program. Make progress on Soda Springs Park updates. Get Plan Manitou completed with an action item ready to go. Get an IGA, an intergovernmental agreement with the Urban Renewal Authority, and to continue on the work with streets and water, all of our infrastructure issues, the water treatment plant, and so on and so on. So that's a small list.
Thank you. I guess I will first wish for 12-hour city council meetings. We have a lot of ambitious ideas, and they're good. No, I think all these comments have been good. One thing that hasn't been mentioned, next year, the city of Manitou Springs will be renegotiating our franchise agreement with Colorado Springs Utilities. This is for 20 years, so it'll deal with our electricity and our gas. If we're smart, if we work this well, I think we can come up with a plan for undergrounding utilities. And it'll probably take 20 years, but we'll begin getting it done, and I think we can do it at a reasonable cost. I think that would be a huge step forward. I think we're close to getting, breaking ground, I think, on the library, so I would hope to see that. There's been a lot of work on that. Hiawatha Gardens, I don't know about the old building itself, that's still in question, but certainly we can put up a new building with bathrooms. We can get rid of those porta potties that say, welcome to the third world, and we can do a little landscaping down there, and we can step forward and make ourselves really a tourist destination, just make it look like we're a real tourist destination. We are, but sometimes I think we're a little tainted. Thank you.
Well, in the next year, really revised bus service, alternative fueled vehicles, more frequent revision of our routes. I think we have a lot of opportunity there, and I think we can do that in the next year. I am looking forward to the water plant upgrades and having those done in the next year. I'm very excited about that. I think it'll benefit all of us very long term. And of course, the library. I've seen the designs, and I'm very excited and hopeful that we'll have that well underway next year.
Yeah, I'd be unrealistic to think we'll have undergrounding done within my lifetime, but to have a plan in the next couple of years, a real committed plan, I think would be awesome. I think we need to continue electrifying both charging stations, not just downtown, but maybe on the East End. Continue to enhance our mobility through shuttles, so not just in the core, but anywhere in town we should be able to shuttle, get around without cars. I think we can do that. We're on the road to do that, and I think we can do it.
Well, I'm going to echo everything pretty much. Hiawatha Gardens needs to be a grand place, not just a here it is and we'll do it. I mean, it may take money. I think that transportation, we have people living on the residual sides of downtown Manitou that can't get to where the shuttle's at. So I think shuttles are good, whether they're gas or electric. I don't let's get out and get people moving. And then I got 30 seconds. And then I think the water treatment plant, I think continuing the work that the city employees are doing, and I think that's important, and to do a lot of landscaping, and we'll work on the wildfire mitigation.
It's pretty easy to go last when you have all these great ideas, isn't it? I'll go back to my idea of parking once at a satellite location and then using our 36. The number 33 has been great success. It's probably one of the most popular mountain metro routes. I think we need to figure out how we continue to be a leader in transit, and Manitou has shown in the entire Pikes Peak area that we can put together these destination routes that work. I'd like us to acquire a satellite parking lot and see how we can partner with the COG and the Incline to basically get people to stay, park once, and stay and do Manitou. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a 30-second question, and we will begin with Judith. The question is, describe your style and approach to bringing consensus and collaboration to the work of City Council.
You want to try this one?
I'm going to put in a plug for experience on this one. I think that this council has grown immensely together. We have had a few new faces in the last 4 years, but I tell you, nothing has made me prouder than the last 2 budget cycles, where we went home on a Friday evening with our 3-inch binder, and we sat in a room for 8 hours, and at the end of the day, we came out with a plan, and we've done that for the last 2 years, and it has been one of the best experiences, and I think we'll do it again in October. I think communication is, I'm done. This 1 minute is really hard. Thank you.
You know, I make as an engineer, as a business owner, I make decisions based on data, off of evidence. I would negotiate from that perspective. Yeah.
I think I've learned a lot on the Planning Commission, to learn from the other committee members, to hear what people are saying, to take that in. I can't tell you how many meetings I've gone into thinking I had, I'd heard about something, or I had a plan for what was going to happen, and then you're in the meeting and you get different opinions and different insight, and you go, wow, all right, I was wrong. This is going to be, I've gone 180 on what I thought. So I think being open to others' opinions and actually hearing people.
Yeah, I think really listening to the residents, but also in terms of collaborating just sort of within the structure of the government. I think it's important to start from a place of assuming good faith and competence on the part of the other people involved. I think that we have a remarkable city staff, and I think that they care deeply about the city of Manitou Springs, and I think the collaboration has to start from a place of assuming good faith.
Yeah, this topic is very important to me. I would say first and foremost that the council needs to clearly understand what our role is. We are a policy-making body. We don't get into the execution of that policy, and we do have a great staff that is very good at executing that policy. Second, I would say we need a common vision. I would say that has been a weakness of us in the past few years, is that we have 7 different visions, and we don't always agree on what that might be. And I also think we need a decision-making process that we all agree to, and following the code of conduct that has been implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. Several years ago, I said that Manitou was a town of 5,000 people with 15,000 opinions. Depending on who you talk to, what time of the day, it seems like things change. I was wrong. We are a town of 4,835 people. I think it's important to listen. Council meetings, typically, there's a lot of conversation. We go on for a while, we talk it out, and it seems that we are able to respect each other and come up with decent decisions. Thank you.
My approach to consensus and collaboration is first and foremost, listen first. Listening is always the core to establish, and be sure to solicit input from everyone before then moving toward a decision. I think mutual respect, as was mentioned before, is also key to any collaboration.
Yeah, I think checking your ego at the door is really useful. We have to listen to each other, and we're not going to win every battle. We have strong ideas. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose, but we need to understand why the decision's made and move on. We do this at the Planning Commission all the time, discussions, but in the end, we're all friends and we don't hold grudges.
Collaboration. I'll tell you, I had a lot of experience with that throughout the country for almost 25 years. Being respectful, to me, is the most important thing. Second thing is being able to listen, and then to represent the people on what they want, and to set out a good plan, and again, to be respectful for everybody's opinion, and we all have them. And with that, you compromise and come up with a good solution.
People. Hello. Sorry about that. People who know me, I'm a diligent researcher. I'm really dedicated to spending the time to understand the issues, and I try and come prepared to every council meeting. I'm also somebody who looks to synthesize and look for the breakthrough idea by listening to other ideas in the room, as well as figuring out how to take my research and integrate that in my decision making. Thank you.
Turn it on. That's okay. I agree with a lot of what's been said. I also believe it helps to come prepared, because that way when we attend a meeting, we've already read the 100 pages or whatever it is that we're going to be discussing. So you've got the background. And I think that the important thing is to understand how to listen so that we can find consensus and be willing to compromise. And I think that's why I've been so successful, because we'll have friendly amendments, as they call it, when there's a motion on the floor, and we'll be able to reach agreement.
I don't know why I have to keep being reminded to stand up. It's something I'm not used to. All right, 30 seconds. We do have one more. We have time, if you wouldn't mind making it quick. We do know we want to make sure we're out of here at a respectable hour. But I do want to mention to those of you that are in attendance, mark your calendars for October 19th, our next forum in conjunction with Pikes Peak Bulletin. Also, they are a nonprofit news outlet, so we do appreciate them as well. October 19th at the Briarhurst from 6 to 8 p.m. I'm sure all your candidates already have it on, but I am going to let you know, instead of a 2-minute introduction next time, I'm going to give you 1 minute. Again, we've heard from you twice that time, so a 1-minute introduction at your next one. That way we can get in another question, okay? All right, last question for the evening, 30 seconds. What would you do to help speed up the renovation of Hiawatha Gardens? We've heard a couple things about that. So this first person to answer, again, you have 30 seconds, is Tony. What would you do to help speed up the renovation of am I saying that right? Hiawatha Gardens. Thank you. Go ahead, Tony.
I'm not even sure what's slowing it down. So I couldn't tell you what's to do to speed it up.
Okay, and I'm going to say that I don't have enough data to make an informed comment.
I would gather as much information as I could and listen to as many people as I could about what the issues are there. Thank you.
Yeah, since I'm very, very involved in the renovation of Hiawatha Gardens, the main thing is to make it a higher priority, which it is, and we do anticipate that by 2024 we can break ground in Hiawatha Gardens as well. So I'm pretty excited about it. And the other thing is just the community engagement. If you participate up front, as opposed to coming in at the last minute and saying, oh, you know, I want something changed now, that really slows the processes down when that occurs. So, but it's going to be great when it's done. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. A few months ago, the Pikes Peak PPRTA gave Manitou an extra $600,000. That's earmarked for Hiawatha Gardens for parking. Okay, the Cog Railway had committed $500,000 previously. That is now available. We've got money to do a parking area and put in civilized bathrooms. Okay, as far as the old building, I'm not sure. There's a task force that's worked on that. Last I heard, it was about $3.5 million. So when we have extra money.
Oh, speeding up a process, it's a very complicated process. So number one, making sure we're prepared to fund it. Number two, making sure we have all our applications, plans, designs ready to go as we go through the process. And number three, making sure we have captured all the input from interested parties in the community before we get too far down the road and have to backtrack.
It's all about the money. I think and we can get moving a little bit faster towards fundraising once we have a complete plan that the community buys into, and then we can start looking for the 3.5 million or whatever it is. I think that's the challenge. That realism kicks in. We only have so much money to do so many things, and it's going to take time. We have to be patient. It will happen, just like the Cliff House happened after 17 years.
Have a plan, get funding in place, and roll up your sleeves and go to work on it.
I don't have an answer in terms of how to accelerate this thing, but I do think that we ought to get the building envelope, the roofing, the exterior things, and the parking lot a lot more presentable. Thank you.
I also don't have any solutions to speed things up. I'm pleased with the progress that has been made so far, although I realize it may not look like any progress at all to people who are just looking at it and it still looks the same. But we've actually come a long way in terms of our plans. I too believe that it needs to be improved so that it looks better, and I think we can do that pretty quickly, and I think we can do that without having to spend a lot of money, and that's just a matter of making a priority. I'd also like to see some landscaping and trees in there to help with shading.
Hiawatha Gardens is a phased approach. There are three main areas, not including the parking space. The residents have clearly said that this is a priority. They want the Hiawatha Gardens event space to be remodeled to its historic greatness. And I think it would be a big boon to the business community. The first thing we have to do is work on the bathrooms and the front mobility part to get, as the mayor says, get rid of those porta potties. The second phase, we met about a month ago. We had a community meeting about the plaza. But to finish this off, I'm more interested in doing it right than speeding up the process. We need to do it right. We need to use sustainable and eco-friendly products wherever possible and make it.
We're going to have to stop you there. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I want to thank all the candidates. We're going to move now to closing statements. I want to make one announcement prior to that, though, and that is there will be a school board candidate forum coming Monday, September 25th from 6 to 8 p.m., and that'll be held in City Hall. It'll be similar format, and there'll be an opportunity for questions from the audience to potential school board members. Now we'll go to closing statements. Everyone will have 1 minute for their closing statement. We're going to go in reverse order from the way we began, which means we're going to start down there in the wind tunnel end of the table and let Mark kick us off. Thank you.
All right, well, first I want to thank everyone who took the time to learn about all of us and to be a part of this event and for sticking with us through the wind event that we had earlier this evening. I want to leave you with a quote from Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis, who said, "The most important political office in a democracy is that of the private citizen. We're all sitting up here at the front of the room, but you all are the most important people in this room." I also want to thank the organizers, my fellow candidates, the current city council, and importantly, I want to recognize all the folks who serve on the many advisory committees and boards that also work tirelessly to serve our incredible community. And I know that there are several candidates up here who serve on those boards, so thank you.
I just want to thank the League of Women Voters, the Cliff House, and the Manitou Springs Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event. I think the most important thing that we can get out of this is just get out and vote. You might see my 2003 Honda Pilot driving around. My license plate is Go Vote. That's the most important thing. The only thing you get out of this is getting out to vote. That's what you needed to do. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming out. You have quite a few options. I don't envy the decision you have to make. Thanks to everyone here. And, you know, if you have any questions for me, I'll be at the toy store. You can stop by anytime. I'm usually there.
I had a resident tell me yesterday that she's going to vote for me. And I said, "Why are you going to vote for me? Tell me why." She says, "I'll tell you why. Because you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk, you roll up your sleeves, you get out in the community," and that is what I've done. I haven't had a chance to tell you that my oldest grandchild is now in first grade. She's a Manitou Mustang, and I got involved volunteering as a crossing guard at Pawnee and Manitou. And I tell you, most days I do more directing people to the 33 shuttle to get up to the cog and the incline. But so I have a strong volunteer record. This will be my 5th year for Creek Walk Cleanup. I've been a member of, it was the environmental work group, now the climate action work group. We've done some great stuff. Was instrumental in getting the Beehive up and running, and work on the pension board, the fire department pension board. I also come prepared to every single council meeting. I read the packet. One of the things we were able to do was save 15 trees from being cut down on Creek Walk Phase 3 because I read the contract and I said, why do these 15 trees have to come out? And we walked that project and not one tree got cut down. So I come prepared and I will do so in the future. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming tonight and for listening as well. I'd like to end by suggesting that experience matters, and that the experience of being on city council is a progressive learning, and it's not an easy task to read a 275-page budget book, and even harder to understand it. And after years of working on this, I just think it's a tremendous background for those of us with experience, the incumbents, to have an opportunity to continue, because this is such an important time. I hate to see on-the-job training happening for the first 6 months or so, because there's a lot happening in Manitou right now. We haven't had time to tell you about it all, but I would encourage you to vote for the incumbents. Thank you.
I want to thank all you folks for coming out tonight, and I just am always tickled to think about Manitou and how involved everybody is in this town, and I'm always astounded at just the number of people who are serving on all our boards and volunteer positions. And oftentimes I think about if that was happening over in Colorado Springs, that probably they would have to have a planning commission with 60 people on it. So continue being involved. There's so many ways to contribute and to volunteer in this community. And I see so many faces around this room, and I thank you so much for your service. Thank you.
Well, I'm privileged to be sitting amongst good candidates. I'm more privileged to be in front of all of you who are asking questions and wondering who we all are. And experience is good, but sometimes experience, you want to get new ideas and new thoughts. And that's kind of why some of us are running for the city council. Maybe we have some new ideas and new thoughts, and we don't get entrenched in what was. And elections are for the future, not for the status quo. And so I think it's important that we all take a look at those. And I appreciate the timer sitting right in front of me, looking at me kind of strange. But again, I appreciate being in front of all of you and amongst all the candidates. Thank you very much.
I want to not thank this microphone, but thank everybody in the audience. I think it's awesome that so many people have come out to hear us. It's incredible to have such a great array of candidates, and I hope you make good choices, and we'll have a really strong council. And I hope 2 years from now we have another 10 people up here discussing the issues and maybe figuring out a better way to navigate answering a question, a 6-minute question in 3 seconds or whatever it is.
Oh, I want to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to experience being on this side of the table. I've been out with you for so many years and in so many candidates forums. I just wanted to remind you all that the cat's out of the bag for me. Most of you who know me as Susan Presti. Obviously, that's not my legal name. My legal name is Charlotte Susan Presti. So that's what you're going to see on the ballot, just to make it really confusing for you, as well as having 10 candidates. I promise that if I'm elected, I will focus on achieving a vibrant future for our community, but still respecting our historic traditions and culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your interest in Manitou. I sometimes ask myself if I were still alive and they were asking me questions, what did you do that was good? Or would they thank me for what we as a council had done, or would they be saying, did you do, why didn't you fix something when you had the opportunity? So I think of that into the future. I guess that's my sentiment for tonight. We've really got an opportunity. We're well positioned to do things. We've got a great city staff. We have money in the bank. We've got ideas. Our plans, we have a lot of plans that are pretty close to shovel ready. We could get some great things done and take care of some serious problems that have plagued us for years. That'd make life a lot better for whoever's sitting here 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 20 years from now, when the trees are blooming, 30 years from now, when they're bearing fruit. Thanks.
So if you remember, I started my introduction was why vote, or with the question of why vote for change. It's because the city is poised to enter its next phase of evolution, and I believe I have a better skill set and temperament to guide us through that transition. It will take vision and big thinking. It will take someone who knows the importance of process and policy, not just operations, to lead the community in protecting not only what makes us wonderful, but what can make us even better. It will take listening to all the voices of Manitou, the residents and the businesses, the fortunate and the less fortunate, the old and the young, and the diversity that is our community. It is to realize this future that I'm asking for your vote to be your next mayor. Thanks.
Can we have a round of applause for your candidates, please? Thank you. Take a seat, please. Sandra. Thank you, candidates. Thank you very much. And just to clarify some things from a forum perspective, right? With this many candidates on any forum, our times are restricted, right? But do know that as a voter, I expect my elected officials or anybody running for office to be able to answer a question. It's called the 30-second elevator pitch, right? From a marketing perspective. And I know there's a lot of stuff for you guys to remember. So I do appreciate your willingness to be able to think in 30 seconds because it is very difficult. So kudos to you for doing it because a lot of us wouldn't put ourselves in that position. So thank you. Another round of applause for your candidates, please. Thank you to your moderators, Denny and myself. Thank you to your league members, your video people, Dan and Dave, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Monitoring our questions. Mike, thank you so much. Our co-sponsors, the Cliff House and the Chamber of Commerce, we so appreciate you having us here this evening. All of our other co-sponsors, Colorado Citizens Project, Colorado Latinos Vote. I'm sorry, I don't have these memorized yet. Black and Latino Leadership Coalition, KRCC, Colorado Springs NAACP, Studio 809 Podcast, and Together Colorado Faith Table. We appreciate all of you. Those of you in attendance, you are voters. You are the most important people in this room. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being virtual as well if you joined us. Get your neighbors to vote. That person who's your waitress who you go to every day, every week. Make sure they're voted. They're voting. They're registered. We'll see you again on Monday here in Manitou. We've got 3 forums for you, so you guys are really special to us. So thank you for coming. Have a great night.